let's just say there's a little bit of an advantage off the line. Went to the Camaro, so the green light, 1048 on a 1047. 970 on a 972 dial. Dave, a little tardy off the line. Rode his boat all the way to the other end. And went a little bit quick. Nick Morris should be taking on Dan Kyle's GTK Automatic Firebird. Dan nowhere to be found for this round of Superstock racing. So Nick gets a competition buy run. I think he had a competition buy run in the opening round. Memory serves me correctly. He did. So Nick's gone. Round number 3 of Superstock. Uncontested. Hey, some days are like that. Yeah, they are. Morris, he's on down the road. 982 on the 983 dial. He had that one pretty well figured out. Here's Dave Dupps Jr. He has the odd lot buy. Told you we had like 29 cars left, and 29, and we're going to whittle that down in half one more time. 15 cars coming back for round number 3. Dave Dupps Jr. The heads-up cylinder heads. Chevrolet Camaro. We'll be back. Seeing a whole lot of golf carts come rolling out from underneath the tunnel. Tells me top dragster's getting come up and boogie. 1044 by Dupps. 127 miles per. So that'll put that round number 2 into the books for Superstock. And what did I say we had coming back? 15? Yep. Do believe so. Top dragster coming up next. Comp Eliminator right beside him. Or right behind him, I should say. Top dragster. Comp Eliminator. Getting ready to roll out for round number 2 of eliminations.
I'm John Force, 16-time Funny Car Champion, and I want to see you and your family at Route 66 20th Anniversary. That was perfect just because of one word. Ready?
All right.
I'm John Force, 16-time Funny Car Champ, and I expect to see you and your family at Route 66. Now, you hear me? Route 66, or is it Route? But I don't care. At the 20th Annual Route 66 Nationals. Now do it one more time.
Wait a second. I say route, he says route, and you can say it any way you want.
Some people say Joliet.
Yeah, we don't care.
I'm John Force, and I'm Jolly, and I hang out at Joliet. Joliet. I'm John Force, 16-time Funny Car Champion, and I want to see you this year at Route 60. I'm John Force, 16-time Funny Car Champion, and I want to see you and your family at Route 66, their 20th annual NHRA Nationals. You better be there.
Hey!
How'd I do? Did I get it right?
Number 2, Top Dragster. Coming to life underneath the tower. Comp Eliminator, you should be in the lanes. That means Top Sportsman. We're going to be knocking on your door and punching the doorbell here in a minute. Get you into the lanes for round number 2. Our Top Sportsman competition, our 6-second 200-mile-an-hour shooters. Jimmy Prevost taking on Bradley Green. Bradley over here on the Toyota side. Competition by in the opening round last night. Bradley says, hey, I'm not ready to head back to the Quad Cities yet. Jimmy Prevost, a little bit of an abbreviated low RPM burnout over there on the O'Reilly side. Don't know if that was planned. Don't remember seeing him do a burnout like that earlier in the weekend. So we see how well it plays into. Here's round 2 run down the racetrack. Started off with 32. We're down to 16 cars now. We'll send those 8 pairs down track and determine the Elite 8 that get to come back for the quarterfinals. Prevost left side, 635. Bradley Green right lane at a 657. Looks like Bradley's going to be the recipient and move on to the quarters. 666 on a 657. 001 red light. Jimmy Prevost. Man, talk about missing a perfect run. He has 001 red and then runs 634.9 on a 635 dial. That's a foul too quick on this end, a foul too quick on that end. And put it all together, and he is 0.02 of a second away from a perfect lap down the racetrack. And he's headed back to Mundelein, Illinois. One of those days that the racing gods just aren't on your side. Marty Cheeseman taking on Donna Patterson, your number 1 qualifier. 521 cubic inch Hemi car for the Cheeseman clan out of Ohio. Donna coming down from Lorette, Manitoba, Canada. Castrol oil entry over here on the Toyota side. 653 by Donna. Cheeseman's got her dialed as low as you can go. 6 flat. You can't dial any quicker. Technically, you can't run any quicker unless both of you break out. I've seen instances over the last couple of years where a 598 or a 599 was able to get the win in advance. Cheeseman doesn't have to worry about it. 0.04 of a second too quick out of the gate for Cheeseman. At a 655 on a 653 by Donna. Gets the win and carries her on into the next round of eliminations. Marty out of here. Runs it on through 605 at 231. Warren Evans just got even. Wayne Sleeger, Mark Krupa rolling in now. How about Mark Krupa? So we call Top Sportsman to the lanes, please. Top Sportsman, round 2. Need you to the lanes. Top Sportsman, come on down. Krupa, that Neyland Parks front engine car, trying to make it to the Elite 8. Can he? Oh, no, 638 on the 631. Comes up 14 thou short. At the other end of the racetrack, Wayne Sleeger's Wisconsin-based runner goes 655 on his 651. 212 miles an hour in that front engine car out of the Neyland Parks chassis shop. Malone slingshot machine out here in round number 2. Wayne Sleeger gets to dance at least one more round. Here comes Frank Carpinelli and Dan Norris. Dan up on the right, Frank up on the left. The Mike Boss chassis craft car. Norris over here on the Toyota side, qualified at a 6:02. He's got her dialed up to a 6:10 this morning. So he's dialed it up 8 from his best run. Frank Carpinelli, the JB Byrider, Wild West paint machine over there on the left-hand side. He's dialed up 5 from his qualifying best. Tells me the air just not quite as good as we think it might be. That being the case, go check out my official air density page. See what it's telling me this morning. 2,918.93 feet. 94.3 grains of water in the air. That might be the answer right there. Humidity up just a little bit. So Dan Norris right side, 610 dial. Carpinelli left on a 649. They leave virtually side by side. And for Frank, that's not a good thing. Should have been out in front first. 617 on a 610 by Dan. 220 miles an hour cruising across the finish line stripe. 683. Frank a little late out of the gate. Frank a little slow down at the other end of the racetrack. And he gets the head start back to Canton, Ohio. Dan Norris gets to stick around at least one more run. I want to remind all of our racers headed east and south of us, there are some potentials for some afternoon storms in Indiana and Ohio. Please beware and please be cautious as you hit the highways and the byways. Ryan Smith rolling up now. Toyota side of the racetrack, the Rolla competition engine. Brand new Spitzer chassis, Hemi powered. Hot rod for Ryan. Andy Waddle over on the left-hand lane. Another Ohio-based runner. He's trying to send Ryan Smith back home to Kenosha. Up there in Badgerland. Ryan on a 609. Danny's going to go first. Oops. Oops. You're supposed to leave first. Oh, and how about that? Waddle goes 30 on a 28. 14 on an 09 by Ryan Smith. Ryan was 001 on the reaction timers, but Danny held in there. He was 27 on the tree, 9 thousandths of a second. Margin of victory for Danny down at the other end of the racetrack. Ryan, 001 and headed back to Kenosha. That's where they made all them Ramblers a long time ago. Madison Ellison, the women rock machine for the young lady out of Central City. Getting ready to take on the other Tom Martino. Tommy, out of Ohio. Not the engine builder, not the pro stock driver. That's from New Jersey, hence the name, the other Tom Martino. Tom on a 636 dial. Madison on a 629. Those of you sitting in the grandstands, if you see the car in the Toyota lane get off the starting line first, well, that's not going to be a good thing for the car in the O'Reilly side. You see the car on the O'Reilly side get a really nice start way out in front. That's not necessarily going to be a good thing for Madison over here on the Toyota lane. Should be fun. Virtually dead even out of the gate. The win's going to go to Martino. 36.5 on a 36. 31.3 on the 29 by Madison. And that one 11 thousandths of a second margin down at the other end of the racetrack. As again, Top Sportsman, need you to lanes, please. Top Sportsman, looking for you to the staging lanes. Top Sportsman, come on down. So Ellison's day is done. Tom Martino gets to move on. Danny Nelson and John Scally get ready to do battle. Nelson up on the left, Scally on the right. 26 for the engine builder, or the chassis builder, out of Arkansas. Scally on the right-hand side, the ATI transmission machine. Dialed in 629. Nelson on a 626. Going to be an interesting two-step as the cars leave off the line. Who's going to grab the better reaction time and most likely parlay it into a win at the other end? Nelson's in, the Racecraft chassis boss. John's in for ATI. Skosh of an advantage to Scally. Win light though to Danny Nelson. 0-0-0-1. Margin of victory at the finish line. 32-1 on a 26. 36-4 by Scally on his 629 dial. Whew. Margin of victory, Danny Nelson, 1/10,000th of a second. That, kids, is called a close race. Zach Sackman getting ready to roll in now. The Hunkstafers.com machine taking on Tony Elrod for Sunoco Race Fuels. Tony dialed in 651. A young man out of Illinois dialed in 617 there on the left-hand side. Running battery change in the bike. You didn't even know it was gone, did you? Sackman left. Elrod right. Just about to put the cap on round number dose of our top dragster field. Chasing not only division points, but national points as well for that RacingRVs.com National Top Dragster Championship. Out of the gate, separated by 4 thou. Finish line separated by 6 thou. Zach Sackman gets the way at 18 on his 17 at 212. Tony goes 53 on his 51 at 208. .006 margin of victory for Zach and the Hunkstafers.com machine over there on the left-hand side, the O'Reilly lane. Here at Route 66 Raceway. Wow, Danny Nelson by 1/10,000. Sackman by 6,000. Now we roll into comp. Top Sportsman needs you to the lanes, please. Top Sportsman looking for you to the lanes as we got the odd number of cars. Ronnie Bones, J Dragster, a little 6-cylinder. Gets the bye run here in this round of comp. Top Dragster needs you to lanes, please. Got a little pre-race coming up after, Top Sportsman needs you to lanes. A little pre-race after, and then into round number 1. Top Alcohol Dragster and Top Alcohol Funny Car. And speaking of Alcohol Dragster and Funny Car, we need them to the lanes, please. Top Alcohol Dragster, Top Alcohol Funny Car, round number 1 contestants. Need you to the staging lanes, please. Ronnie Bones, a little 6-cylinder. Off and running. Clicks it at 1,000 feet. Coasts across at the other end of the racetrack. 830 at 111 miles an hour. Brandon Baxter's A Altered Automatic getting ready to come up next. Robert Bailey alongside the A Econo Dragster. Robert surviving a pretty wild race last night against Danny Nelson's Pro Mod machine. Danny all of a sudden jumped up after having trouble in qualifying. Jumped up and forced Robert to grab a little bit of index. Down at the other end of the racetrack, Brandon Baxter's A altered automatic. Coming up alongside the Dodge Stratus for the boys out of Granville. Again, tip of the cap to everybody that makes the Comp Eliminator bonus fund. Make the Comp Eliminator field a little bit more rewarding. C-Tech aluminum cabinets, Indy Gear, Ray Skillman Auto Group, Don's Machine Shop, Liberty Gears, T&E Auto Haulers, Billingsley's Car Wash, Camp Plain Machine Shop, Brow Bell Housing, Bullet Racing Cams, Trend, Diamond Pistons, RCE, and Cohen Racing. Did I say Brow Bell Housings? I better. Debbie will come up here and kick me right in the shin. All righty, Comp Eliminator round number 2. Bailey and the dragster coming. Not going to get there. 674. Brandon Baxter's A altered automatic gets the win. Bailey goes 670 at 204. Brandon Baxter wanted that one. 26 thousandths of a second. Down at the finish line stripe. And moving on to round number 3. Here's Steve Ambrose. Yet another 6-cylinder power plant here in Comp Eliminator. That 300 cubic inch inline 6 Ford. Taking on Mark Kirkman's A dragster automatic. Kirkman and the gang out of Monmouth. Mike Boss chassis craft car and 500 cubic inches of Ford here in Comp Eliminator. So a pair of Fords. And to see which Ford going to go to the third round. Ambrose index at 831. Kirkman index 8717. Whom shall get there first? Qualifying, Kirkman had the quicker car. 70 under the index. See if he wants to use a lot. Oh, Ambrose going to be looking over his shoulder, and Mark Kirkman dead late out of the gate. Can't get there. 775 by Ambrose, though. That'll use up a little bit unnecessarily. 659 by Kirkman. 171 miles an hour. Steve got down to the other end of the racetrack and took a chunk of stripe, and he's not going to be happy with himself. He will see things readjusted a little bit for round number 3 as we do in Comp Eliminator. Kirkman's day is done, and that was just being asleep at the wheel here on the starting line. Jason Cohen and Greg Camplain, a couple of sponsors of our Comp Eliminator bonus fund, racers as well. Cohen coming off the win over at Bowling Green last weekend. Jeg Sports National, little 4-cylinder Chevrolet Eficano dragster. And the Mount RV, Greg Camplain. B-Econo dragster. Over here on the Toyota side, handicap start, obviously going to go to little 4-banger. Big V8's going to be trying to track him down. There goes Jason. Here comes Greg. Looking at the right-hand side of the car, trying to size up Camplain. 685. Oh, ouch. Ow, that hurt. Greg Camplain, 685 on his 748. 810 by Jason. At 160 miles an hour. Another good, tight finish down there at the other end of the racetrack. Camplain comes back. Round number 3, but not without a little bit of a self-inflicted wound there. It's Frank Cervelli. Number 1 qualifier. Frank had the bye run in the opening round. Comes back now to take on the runner out of Minnesota. Michael Manns, F altered automatic. Little 296 cubic inch. GTO. Cervelli and his B dragster. Shop foreman over at a place called Don Schumacher Racing. Alcohol dragster and funny car. Need you to lanes, please. Alcohol dragster and funny car. Need you to the staging lanes, please. Alcohol funny car. Alcohol dragster. Need you to lanes. Round number 1. Come on down, boys. Mans on the 854 index gets to go first. Cervelli's dragster, 736, going to be giving chase. And Michael goes red. Frankie says, hey, I'll take it. Cruises on into round number 3, unmolested and uncontested. 782, 130 miles an hour by Cervelli. Michael goes 805 at 140. Let the red bulb back here on this end. And his day, at least in competition eliminator, is kaput. Finite. Done. No more. Brian Stuffelbeam rolls in. Troy Galbraith. Troy's B dragster automatic there on the left. Stuffelbeam's A Econo Alter. 336 cubic inch. Small motored Chevrolet. Single 4-barrel up on top. 23 T-bodied roadster. Slowly getting him backed up in the tracks via communicating via racing radios. Brian's back. He'll get one bulb, handicap start. Leave it to starting line. 785 to 735. The Rolla competition engines, B dragster automatic up on the left-hand side. Going to be coming after him and closing at a high rate of speed. See what Brian can do. Once again, alcohol dragster, alcohol funny car, needs your lanes. Round number 1, alky dragster and alky funny car. Round number 1 needs you to the lanes, please. .687 at 182, 736 by Stuffelbeam. Best run of the weekend by Brian, but he comes up 11 thousandths of a second short once they get to the finish line. 687 by Troy. And your number 11 qualifier gets to dance at least one more round. Todd France, C. Econo dragster. Taking on Jimmy Promozic Jr. Remember, Jim had to run Dad last night. Promozic got the win. Dad went red. France up on the right side, 793 index and C Econo dragster. Promozic 794 the index in C altered automatic. Small blocks of pair. Todd's the smaller of the two small blocks. Gives up 76 cubic inches, but obviously has the lighter weight car. Comp Eliminator. Round 2. Out of the gate they go. Jim Promozic. Dead late out of the gate. Todd France was 008. Todd cruises on through 742 at 162, and he will take his C Econo dragster into round number 3. Quarterfinals of our Comp Eliminator competition here this weekend, and Top Sportsman. I do believe, getting ready to come up next. Alcohol dragster and funny car. If you're not in the lanes for paired up for round number 1, tisk, tisk, tisk. You should be.
The 2017 season is here, and the only place to see every heart-stopping moment is NHRA All Access. Friday through Sunday, see all the action from sportsmen to the pros. Miss some of the action? No problem. You can now rewind to catch up on anything you missed. Over 600 hours of racing excitement. Now only $79.95. NHRA All Access. Ignite your senses.
Folks, if you would make your way, if I've called off your name, to the media room right next to race control, get your W9 filled out so Route 66 can Send you your check. And again, if you do not want your check, bring your W-9 over, and I'll be more than happy to fill it out for the Old Announcers Retirement Fund. I haven't quite filed that C3 or F3 or whatever it is, government form for accepting bribes. I mean accepting donations. But we'll get that figured out one of these days. Chad Peckrell and Kurt Frederich up now. Round number 2, top sportsman. 686 to a 681. Peckrell's machine over on the O'Reilly side. Going to be out of the gate first, or at least that's the plan, Stan. Frederick's going to be given chase, is Wisconsin-based. First generation Camaro-bodied machine here on the Toyota side. Peckrell survived the opening round from the bottom half of the field. Kurt able to stay alive from his number 11 spot. Telling you, get the top dragster and top sportsman. If you're in, you can win. Doesn't matter if you're number 32 or number 1. Green light's a pair, and away we go, and a pair of nice greens. But it's going to be Kurt all the way to the end. Runs 686 on his 681. 006 out of the gate. Peckrell was 13 at the tree. Dead even with Frederick to the 60-foot mark. But between the 60 and the 330, you can see Peckrell's Wisconsin-based Camaro start to fall back as Frederick just pulled away and pulled away. Alex Bozak, Chicago-based runner, the 50-ish driver. His words, not mine. 650 cubic inch dumpling. The little neons over here that at one point in time were quite the body style in pro stock competition. Making a home here in top sportsman land. Alex keeping his in the family. 650 cubic inch, all Mopar car. Take it on Kyle Dumke's. Likewise, a little dumpling. And likewise, all Mopar. 762 cubic inch Hemi there on the left-hand side. Bozak on a 679. Over here in the Toyota lane. Red light, good night for Kyle. The Bozak gang down here high-fiving, waving the arms in the air like they just don't care. Wow, look at Alex, 679.8, dead on with an 8 by Dumke. He runs 84 and is 83. That would have been a good race if Kyle hadn't gone red. Could have been interesting. But it is what it is, and Alex gets to come back for the quarterfinals with Bad Eye Breiniger and Jimmy Fallon. Roll in next. Jimmy at the wheel of his Corvette. We've talked all weekend about the interesting occupations the drivers have during the week. Jimmy Fallon, over in Trenton, Ohio, is a bookstore owner.